February the 28th, yes, February the 28th, we're going to vote. We're going to vote for representatives in 22 different police districts in this city. These representatives will be from our communities. And these representatives will be there to hold the police accountable. That's why we're having that election. That's why we got that legislation passed. This ain't going on nowhere else in the country. Nowhere. This is the first time in the history of our country that we've been given the democratic option to say who polices our communities and how our communities police. So we're getting ready to make history here. It's a shame that there's always a struggle between education and catastrophe. It's a shame that we can't move fast enough to prevent these murders because we're dealing with an institutionalized racist practice that goes back for hundreds of years. So this election is going to be very important in setting a new tone and setting a new direction, not only for this city, but for our country. Thank you.
Again, Reverend Jackson has been invited by the Nichols family. He and I will attend that service on Wednesday, along with others. One can only think what Tyree experienced that night. It is gut-wrenching. It is disturbing. It's far beyond our imagination to see how these officers who were sworn to serve and protect took his life 100 yards from his mother's home. And so we call for responsible protests, being proactive and accountable for the communities that we serve. We will never get change exacting violence for violence. The healing that is necessary, the respect and reverence that must be a priority for this family, and then the accountability. And again, this is the reason why we are leveraging our political influence on the White House and on the Justice Department to bring to bear all of their energies and abilities to run parallel investigations on the corruption in this police department. Again, there was a white officer who some believe is of some supervisory position in the Memphis Police Department who tased Tyree in the first engagement, who has yet to be terminated, who has yet to be indicted, who is yet to be identified. This adds to the angst and the anxiety and the lack of confidence and trust in the process. That all individuals, regardless of their race, position, or rank, must be held accountable for this murder. He was murdered. His life was taken. And though it has been 19 days, we've waited before, and we're tired of waiting. And at the same time, we don't want a rush to due process. We want every individual to be held accountable, and this family to get the resolve and the results of justice. So what does justice look like? It looks like everybody who was involved in this being held accountable to the highest extent of the law, no matter what it costs, no matter who it is, no matter what they did not do or what they said they did. We see officers on the scene trying to concoct a story on their own video. They are irresponsible in even dispersing the pepper spray that gets in their eyes, restraining him. How can he resist if you are imposing pressure on him? How is he to respond when he sees danger? How is he to respond when he is outnumbered and outmanned? How is he to respond when he asks the question? He is more calm and more subdued while he's being attacked than the attackers. You see on the video, some officers show up and began to immediately participate in this gang-style attack. So as a community, we have a right to be disgusted.
That's right.
We have a responsibility to be disturbed. And at the same time, to honor this family and his memory, we must be proactive and responsible and do our due diligence in getting justice for him so that there doesn't have to be another Freddie Gray. There doesn't have to be another Laquan McDonald. There doesn't have to be another Tyree Nichols. And as long as we remember him, we're going to fight for him and get justice for him and all of the others. Any other questions from the meeting?
What was your reaction when Tyree called off for his mother just 80 yards from his home? We were raised to do that. Growing up in the aftermath of the assassination of Dr. King, and going through segregation, we had to walk through these neighborhoods. That neighborhood was out of bounds for us, where his family lives. It's right outside of a place called White Haven. It's called White Haven for a reason. We were trained to call home. We were given a quarter. Put it in your pocket. You get in trouble, you call home. And who you want to talk to first? You want to talk to your mom.
That's right. That's right.
You're 100 yards. 29 years old. 140 pounds. And you still need your mom.
Right.
And they prop him up against the car. And two medical first responders give him no aid while they're on their own video feed. You can't make it up. You can't accuse us of exaggerating this one. You see what we see.
Yes.
You saw what we saw.
Yeah.
And you heard what we heard.
That's great.
And I can only but imagine my two boys
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Right.
being in peril
Yes, sir.
and calling for their mother.
Yes, sir.
It's unforgettable.
George Floyd called for his mother too.
Unforgettable.
Yes, he did.
Ma'am?
I just wanted to get some clarification. So, the white officer that tased him, was that based, like you heard that, is that evident in the videos? Is that?
It's in the video. Attorney Ben Crump has raised it to the DA. He's raised it to the police chief of Memphis. He's raised it to the mayor. Reverend Jackson has raised it. Reverend Jackson is bringing it to the attention of Attorney General Garland. Everybody involved in this,
Yes.
everybody
Every day.
must be held accountable.
That's right.
Everybody
That's right.
must be held accountable. There can be no one who is off limits
Right.
or exonerated or an exception to the rule. We saw it here with Laquan McDonald.
We did.
There are people who are still on this police force that was involved in his murder.
Right.
And they are unnamed and held to no responsibility. This will not happen in Memphis. We've seen too much. We've heard too long. We've cried too long. It's got to happen. It's got to happen now. Anybody else?
What are your thoughts on murder two?
One more time.
What are your thoughts on murder two?
I'm not a lawyer. I'll leave that to the process. Our job in civil rights is not to pretend to be something that we're not. We fight for the legal system to work. It worked in George Floyd. We expect this to be an improvement. It was encouraging for Attorney General, State Attorney General Ellison to indicate how challenging a case like this is. And yet, we believe as long as we fight, we'll win. It may be a long fight, but even if it's a long fight and we win, it's worth it. Thank you.
Ricky says my meeting is 9 to 10, 10 to 11. We're live and we're in the Ricky Saturday morning meeting, okay? Now let me say this to you, my friends. So one American killer here about police. Police state. More white than black. White, black, and brown killed by police. These guys are conditions to do this. To celebrate the killing of him. It's embarrassing they're black. We had them hired to stop the madness. They internalized racism and been acted out on some black people. We know culturally when blacks and whites, it's jail time. Whites and blacks is riot time. Black on black is usually middle time. We know what the pattern is. This is so different than the basic pattern of killing blacks until you have a phenomenal situation here. But 900 people were killed in California too. 900 Asians killed by other Asians. Sick. Easy access to guns and weapons. Chicago is a reputation of being gangster land. Let me tell you, my friends, Chicago does not have a single gunshot in the city. Not a gunshot in America by blacks, not one in America. Not one in America, not one gunshot. In Macon, the suburbs, there's 7 shops across street from, in Riverdale, across street from city line. So we cannot allow these 5 blacks to become the poster boys because they're black people. 242 blacks killed in Tennessee, lynchings, mob lynchings. Some of them dig up now, some of those court hearings, as in the case of Emmett Till, become a movement and become a phenomenon 50 years later. But killed an all-white jury and a judge, the favorable toward the killers. We've known this for a long time. Black police were promoted based upon beating black people. Like he was a guy named took on Pete, killed 7 black people. He was a hero. He was a hero, y'all. Yeah. He's a hero. He had a bar down on 39th Street. Killed 7 black people. Some blacks killing blacks is not new. Wrong. It's not new. You would think that in life, the police would stop at this point in time in history. An obligation on to get these bishops emphasizing the big light, the big light, the big light, the big light, the big light. In fact, these hit for the real time. That's part of the system. Why did everybody headquarters move on with that? It's more than this 5. That's why Bob was not fit to judge itself. The Department of Justice and the take over the police department members, take it over and do a thorough investigation. Something responsible for all. Everybody was involved, more than 5 involved. They all accountable. Who's the fireman?